Okay, sorry about that. Ran out of space, but luckily I could delete my video from earlier because it's uploaded now. So, anyway, as I was saying, part two. Thanks for watching part one. Love y'all. Welcome in. But part two, okay? So we're talking about God still and my beliefs in it, and it's so I wouldn't say it's complicated, but it's I just like to be in depth about things. Either you like it or you don't. Okay. Nonetheless, what I was saying pretty much is that really the point of life, if you are put here to do better for yourself, if you ultimately want better for yourself, right? Pretty much what I think we're supposed to learn is that God, whatever it is, gives us whatever we want. Whatever we want. So, what we're supposed to do is be filled with source and then give the overflow to people who are in our vicinity, because usually if we are making good choices and doing things that are in best energy for us, we have, I'd like to think energies that are like-minded around, okay? Sometimes that can look bad, sometimes that can look good, but it's not really bad or good, right? So, you could say rain is bad for the desert cactus, but it's good for the Amazon rainforest trees. So you could say like someone making money through this is bad. While it could be conveyed as bad, it's really meant to be a catalyst, in my opinion, once again. So pretty much what I believe is that you are supposed to be like this cup. I went and got some water. But anyway, so you're supposed to be like this cup, right? This cup below is your friends, family, anyone that's not you, right? So this is you. A lot of us will give like our last drops to the people below, right? And like I said, that could be like, usually we think of that as like the spit in the cup, the last little bottom, right? You're supposed to ask from God, source, universe, because we tend to think that what we want will come from the external. And that will lead us into manipulating people, even accidentally, without even knowing. I was there at one point. I'll explain that in a different segment, but nonetheless, it's all about understanding the roots of what you're doing and how it serves you, if it serves you. So to me, see it as you are supposed to be asking from God's source universe, because it's an unlimited source. It's, you just tap into it and you can get whatever you want. Okay? You don't have to rely on other people, blah blah, right? So once you complete this kind of full circle thing in your life, because I feel like everybody kind of goes through this journey, whether it be later or whatever. Well, not everybody, but I'll get to that anyway. But God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, is pouring into your cup. You are to wait, in my opinion, until your cup is overflowing, until your cup cannot hold anymore. And this, your family and friends, is what catches your overflow. And you don't even, it's just effortlessly being given to them. It's not even like you're showering money onto them. It's just energy. It's just the fact that you are feeling so good. You are just loving people wholeheartedly around you without judgment, and just being a source of love for them. And that you won't even understand until you have it in your life. That can be worth more than any kind of money. That's how I feel about my friend Sierra. She's just always been very non-judgmental about my situations, always supportive. But I think ultimately what we're supposed to learn is that in this woo-woo Christian sense, God will always provide. It sounds corny, but it's true. And we have to go through processes to trust that and learn to trust that. And each process looks different. And my process is going to look different than your process, because you're meant to serve the world in a different way than I am. And I say it works much like a beehive, where everybody has a distinct purpose. And if everybody were to authentically live themselves, it's not like we wouldn't have no people to do things. Believe it or not, there's people who like to do the septic work. There's people who like to run like nuclear power plants. There's people who like to do that stuff. Um, they're fascinated by it, etc. I love to bake cupcakes. I love to cook people. I'm sorry, cook for people. No! I just uploaded a video talking about cannibalism. Now someone's gonna think I eat people. Technically, we all do, in my belief. But anyway. Anyway, so I love cooking for people. There's so many people that hate cooking, right? So I think when we live authentically, we will each fall into like a puzzle place, and it will serve the world and serve others around us better because we're happy, we're being who we want to be. And I'm like, what the hell's on the wall? But it doesn't even just go as far as money. It goes really for energy, you know? And you can call that God, you can call that love, source, whatever you want to call it, you know? But ultimately, I do think it's just love that they're trying to convey across. That is the ultimate way to, you know, even if someone has angered you. And even now, it sounds so corny, but I said this in an earlier video, like even like now, people just, they cut me off, they drive crazy, and back in the day, I guess I would have gotten pissed off. Maybe, but now I don't. It's more like amusing to me, it's funny, it's more of like, whoa. You know, it's never, my first reaction isn't ever anger anymore, and at times it used to be, like I said. But it becomes so habitual because you become so at peace with yourself. You love every part of yourself. And when someone acts in a way that is not really cohesive or harmonious with the environment you're in, you learn to look at it from a different lens as when you're not healed. And I do think healing is a constant journey. I don't think you're ever going to just be like completely healed, right? I think there's so many layers to it. So, but I do think that when you get to a certain level of loving yourself, that you love people even when they're angry towards you, because you have been in that anger yourself and you've learned from it, and you understand it. You get it, and real recognizes real kind of thing. Like, you can't pass judgment because you've been there, you understand it, and it actually helps you mitigate situations a lot better, more compassionately, etc., etc. And that's where I'm really grateful. Like, I've been through a lot in my life, you guys will learn, and I'm actually really grateful for it. Never in my life have I not been grateful for it, because I've always, you know, a year after it happened, I've always sat there and been like, wow, I understand why this happened. And whether it be God, whether it be magic reasons, universe, energy, whatever you want to call it, you know, I just say energy. Energy makes more sense, and it never lies. It doesn't stop. It never lies. The best thing you can do with energy is just learn to transmute it, and in a woo-woo sense, and in a Christian sense, when you turn someone's anger into like love, that would be transmuting, right? So instead of like letting that anger hit you in that energy, you change that energy into something else. If you choose to like absorb it, let it hit you, whatever the hell you want to say. So that's kind of how I view things, and God and source and whatnot. And I think, like I said, ultimately, like, we're all given paths of demons and stuff like that to experience the darkness, to understand the light, and ultimately, like, they say, like, oh, you're supposed to, like, come back, like, find your way back to God, blah, blah, kind of thing. It is kind of like that, but it's kind of finding your way back to loving yourself and being one with yourself and things like that. If you want to see it in that way, that's kind of how I see it, and understanding the way energy works. If you really love yourself wholeheartedly, no shame, there's no stagnant energy in your body, there's no guilt, there's no whatever the word, suppressed energy, just like stuck in your body. And so when you love yourself, it's just full of lightness and happy, and it's just a breath, weight off your shoulders. And even physically, like, when I was going through these really tumultuous times in my life, I was really sick. And there was just depths of depths that I've really went through, and I've really understood it. And that's it. it was difficult, but it's exciting to me because it's ways that I can help people. And that's where I want to find a common ground with people who want to know more, and I want to know more about y'all, whoever wants to be in this convo. Um, because I think if we just support each other, even in the smallest ways, that will leak into your foundation in your daily life, and you'll choose better people for you, you'll choose better whatever for you. And same goes for myself. There's people constantly coming to my streams and stuff like that, giving me the best ideas, how to mitigate my health, how to mitigate certain circumstances and stuff like that. And if it weren't for wholeheartedly loving myself, those people would never be in my vicinity. And I'm so grateful to happen upon those people, because even in the Bible it says God will use people as his instruments. So I will use my best friend as an example a lot. She is like, I really deem her, you know, as I view POC people, but I really deem her just like, really like God speaks through her in a corny way. She'll just say things that are just like exactly what I need to hear at that time. And it just resonates so much. Like, I will always remember these phrases or whatever she says, you know. And so, or what she says comes true, blah, blah, blah. So that's where it really leaks into subtle ways like that in your life. And that's just what I'm trying to do, because once again, you can't do your push-ups for someone, right? I have found, because I'm a former people pleaser, I want the best for people, and that's really just you projecting what you would do in their situation, right? And maybe you would do better in their situation, who knows, but they know what's best for them, and they know ultimately what they want, and you might not know all the details to that, right? So I found I've over inserted myself into people's lives, tried to help them where they just didn't want to have help. And that's not a bad thing. I used to view it as a bad thing, but I also don't want help with certain things. Like, I want to be able to do things my own. Like, it gives me a sense of satisfaction to do things that I enjoy doing and not having help with it, right? And sometimes, now that I've healed, I view people who are overly helpful much like a projection. You know, either they view themselves as incompetent, or they view me as incompetent because they're viewing me through a certain lens, whatever. And so now I've learned why people who are into manifesting, into getting what they want in life, stay away from people who have certain negative mindsets or critical mindsets or victim mindsets. Like, you know, back in the day, people would give me these sob stories and I'd be like, oh my God, like, how terrible. And now people give me sob stories, and I don't mean to be so blunt with it, but sometimes I'll ask them, like, you know, I don't know. I remember one time there was a friend, and I was in an abusive situation, and this dude I was dating was breaking down the door or like trying to, while I was talking to this guy on the phone, one of my friends. And there's literally nothing. I know when people say that, but there's nothing. But I've learned now, like, you know, the projection of things, the reason why. And this guy, there's a lot of history with him. We'll go over him for a bit. So just know there's things going on that he was doing behind the door. Not, well, literally and figuratively, but just in general, which is why he was acting that way. So I was crying because I was scared, and I was sick of this dude being this way. And this guy, he's not a friend, and I don't know really if he was a friend now, because I think he was just chatting to me because he did like me. At the time I didn't recognize that, but he was my friend, but now we're not friends anymore. So then I'm like, okay, I guess, you know, if you're a girl, you fall into that trap a lot, where you think you're legit friends with a dude, and like 99% of the time, dudes are not friends with you. They think they're the exception to the rule, or you're the back burner lady for when things don't work out, whatever it is. So it's always sexual, if anything. So there comes a time for women, some women know this, some women don't. And when the frontal lobe especially forms, we find out this, and it's kind of annoying. But nonetheless, he said to me, he was like, I'm trying to figure out like exactly the pretext before, but I can't remember. But I do remember, I had taken the dude's phone, and I was complaining because he was Snapchatting friends, getting nudes and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, but this is like the millionth time I've complained about this, right? And to an extent, I get it when friends hear it over and over, and you keep choosing that same person, and they keep doing the same, like, what do you expect, you know? So he told me, he's like, complacency is a bitch. And I was like, damn, alright. A little rude. Truthfully, I needed to hear that. His name is Charles, so, I mean, if you're watching this, Charles, shout out to you. But also, you know, kind of bummed out. But also not. More so, like I said, as a girl, you fall into that trap. You wish for genuine friendship, and you find out it's really hard to get as a woman. So, especially with the opposite gender. But that's okay. But I really internalized that. I was like, damn. But it's true. I'm being pretty complacent. What do I expect to happen, you know? So that was kind of like a catalyst for myself and turning things around. And I think ultimately, you know, I saw a girl today on my TikTok, and she said something about how, you know, blaming a victim when they're in a circumstance that's abuse and they attract, you aren't necessarily, you attract what you deem worthy, you're worthy of, blah, blah, because people attract abusive people. So, in the way that happens, that is you not recognizing your worth. That is you people pleasing and thinking the more you give to someone, energy, time, love, forgiveness, they will change for you. And people, once again, they do not want help truly unless they're okay. So people want help. Not everybody wants help. When people say they want help, some people say they want help and they mean, I want you to do everything for me to solve all my problems. When other people want help, they want, hey, I need a direction, I need resources, like legitimate help. Like, I will do the work, give me a little push in the right direction kind of thing, okay? It's hard to decipher and discern between people who legitimately need help versus not, when you don't have the light of God or love in you. I used to have really bad discernment. I used to date the worst people, be friends with the worst people, and now I'm recognizing why. And it's because, to a certain extent, I was attracting people that had similar tendencies as me, which were still rooted in trauma, attachment, etc. And therefore, obviously not the best people to have around. And I think to an extent people don't understand that through your life, the reason why detachment is so important is because it's really hard to control whether people will stay in your life or not. We're all constantly growing and we all go through phases, and we are there for people through different phases and are meant to be there in different phases. And if you're really, you know, I believe in the string theory, which is you're connected in your line, and if you're meant to be connected, then you'll rehappen upon each other. Like, if you have a best friend in childhood, you guys will meet again. Trust, okay? It's just energetically speaking, that's what it is. Quantum physics is like a proved scientific thing. And then if you, like, you know, believe in the religious side of things, then you can believe that just that's part of God's plan, is that, you know, what's meant for you is meant for you. And he, she, it, they, whatever, wants what you want. It's not about, oh, you aren't following my directions and you don't deserve this. It's about, how much do you love yourself to truly believe you deserve this? And a lot of people, especially when they're in their people-pleasing phase, like myself, and I speak from pure projection because I can only speak for my circumstance. So just know I'm not saying this is you. This was once me, and that's where I'm coming from with this, okay? But I would people please because I felt like I had so much worth and like nobody saw it, right? And I had to prove to people. And then I realized that the validation was not external, it needed to come from here internally. No matter what compliments people gave me, etc., I didn't believe them because internally it wasn't true, right? So I realized internally that's where I had to fix things. And then I learned that I was overexerting myself in groups. Like, for instance, I'll give an example. There was a group of people that I hung out with, and I really just wanted them to like me. And they liked me and they enjoyed me. But I really, really, like, I wanted to make sure they were never gonna leave, and, like, not never gonna leave, but, like there was no reason, like, to dip out or whatever. And I've never really had problems with friends dipping out. I've had issues with my dad being in and out of jail, so likely stems from something of sorts like that. And this was like a very unhealed phase of me, right? So people pleasing was my natural tendency. And when you grow up in a Mormon household, they also teach you that, serving others is what's going to get you closer to God. So that's where, like, breaking down that patriarchy is a little bit important, because it's important to understand that sacrificing yourself is not what is meant to happen. um, you can give to people while still giving to yourself. You don't have to give the shirt off your back to be deemed a good person to give to people, right? Um, and you don't even have to give to people. You just being full of love gives to people, because you are giving love. When you enter the room, you are love. You are giving them love when you enter the room. And people will be like, oh, that's so cocky. Like, you're a gift to... Yeah. As long as you're loving to people, nice, non-judgmental, people will always feel like they gain something from your interaction. It will never feel like an energy vampire or anything. And that's where that love feeling is infectious, much like a smile, right? It's infectious, and there's a reason for that. And people will doubt it, but when someone comes into the room angry, you can feel it. You can feel it, right? Same thing when people are happy, you can feel it. And if a smile is contagious, then energy is definitely contagious. And I think the whole point is to understand how energy facilitates our world, and how we can manipulate that energy to work for us, instead of manipulating people with that energy, and realizing that we can tap into an unlimited source for these things that we want, instead of using sources that are limited, like people and souls, etc., and abuse and whatever those, to get the same result. But it's again like Monsters Inc., like I say, where they view the scream as powerful, but the laughter is more powerful. So love and happiness is more powerful, energetically speaking, than fear and any of those. But both are energy forces, and can be very strong, and can be transmuted, used in any sense. You need negative energy to push positive energy, to propel the positive. I actually believe the Tesla coil is exactly that. Like, they use the negative, if I remember right, I don't know, the negative side of it to propel the positive magnet. So then it creates, propulsion type of whatever circuit. And I don't fucking know these words anyway. But does that make sense? Like, you need both. You need both of them, and that's why I think, like, celebrating the differences is really important. And learning to use the bad things, the negative energy in your life, and transmute that to positive, is essentially what the Christians say is like returning to God, or finding God again, or being reborn. You can correlate the phrasing the same way, okay? And just like I say, like, everything has truth. These energetic speakings that I talk about, I definitely think are true, because I think that's the biggest reason why the big people demonize occultism, because they use it, and that's why people go missing, because they need people to make these things happen energy wise. And this is a little in the woo woo, but I wish, if I could leave this planet with any, like, wish that were to come true, it would just be for people to realize that their power within, And people would be like, okay, so this is the thing that I say, like, if you could wish anything and it would come true instantly, like, people would use that for bad, but people are literally using it for bad now. Like, the big elite people are literally using this so millions, if not billions of people are suffering. While, you or I would use it maybe to, get a few extra cars or something. But the thing is, to speak in realistic terms, the reason why being, like I said in the previous part, being over whatever, like overdoing it, over gluttonous, whatever, having too much is a bad thing, is because in a realistic sense, it drives those dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, like those good factors, right? And after a while, those normal things that excite us as humans, those billionaires, they have surpassed that. Okay, they have money, so they do things that get those dopamine levels going that we can't even fathom. Okay, and that's where too much of a good thing becomes bad, and the the you know balance of things, like the yin and yang, is really important, which is what I talk about a lot as well. And that's where the Bible says, I don't even know if it's the Bible, but at least the Ten Commandments or some shit, where, not to be too gluttonous, too greedy, etc., etc. Do you need to go outside? Hold on, I gotta let them outside. Hold on. Okay. But because I'm into the conspiracy stuff, right? And I just recently started diving in that. So I'm not like huge, I don't know much about it, but I do think, in a conspiracy sense, there is a reason why everything's so divided. So divided. When the common factor is we're all human, we all want to be happy, right? And we all can be. So I really question like the roots of that, right? Like, why can't we be? Well, we can be, but what's stopping us, etc., etc. And it's the idea. It's the idea that you have to be this good for your blessings to be answered, and that's not really how it works. It's, you just have to believe you deserve it. You don't have to be a good human, bad. The ultimate source does not decide things like that. It's not about if you want money or if you want this. If you truly believe it, and those don't coincide. If you want something, there's a lot of times, how I explain it is, a lot of us want, let's say $10,000. What if someone handed you $10,000? A lot of us would be like, oh, I can't accept this, I can't accept that, like that's too much, I could never. And that's kind of what we do with blessings. Like, when we feel like we are unworthy of them, we, maybe like money, we give it to other people. We're over, abundant, or over giving to people because we don't feel like we deserve it. Or like, we don't accept things because we don't feel like we deserve it. So you got to really ask yourself, like, if the universe truly presented you your gift, do you really believe, like, do you really see that you have that in your hand? Do you really think, and a lot of people don't, and I think that's where the root of it is. You need to work that believing that you do deserve that, and you'll go through a process. You'll go through a lot of trials and tribulations and stuff, like the Bible says, as corny as it sounds, to get you to that point of believing again, because you got to go through darkness and whatnot to just understand the light. It sounds so corny, but you've got to experience that because what happens in those moments is there's little miracles that happen that you're like, whew. And you start believing in those little miracles every time they happen, a little more and more. And that's what builds the faith. It really is. And I think that's important for us to go through, because I remember one time when I was pregnant and I was sick, and I was going through eviction, and like, I really sat with it. I was like, okay, what are these people talking about when they're talking about manifesting, blah blah. So I really wanted to understand it and believe, like, I believe I deserve money, blah blah. And like, it was so difficult, but it was a process and a journey. It doesn't come overnight, like, oh, you're gonna have a windfall. Sometimes it does, but for the most part, it's an actual journey. And it's a good journey when you decide to take it on, but it's difficult, but never more than you can handle, as they say. As long as you believe that, some people don't. And truth be told, unaliving yourself, there's no sin to that. And everybody is back with the united with ultimate source, whatever the hell that looks like. I don't know. All I'm saying is that once again, differences should be celebrated, and I'm just here to try to inspire people to be authentic to them and truly believe what they deserve, and the blessings, the good things will happen. Whether you believe in God, source, universe, etc., you deserve the good things. Easy. That's all you gotta believe in. It's not that easy to believe that, but you gotta just tell yourself every day, and eventually you do believe it, because that's where I started. For a bit, I didn't know if I believed it, but now I truly do. And I know it sounds woo woo, but you gotta do the inner work. Like I said, when I was going through eviction and pregnancy, the health was awful. Everything was bad. So I really sat with it, and I knew that the internal work was doing a lot more work than any physical work that I would do. And I was super right about that. So I really preach, like, when you're going through a rough time, not to so much lean on external sources, look inward. Take time to sit with yourself and close your eyes and just put on some music and take some deep breaths and really ask yourself what you want in life and why don't you have it. What's causing you to not have it? Is it parents, friends? Do you really don't think you deserve it? What? And whether or not you believe in God, that thought process will get you what you want. You can call it manifesting, witchcraft, prayer, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's possible, you just gotta believe it. And that's where, if you keep yourself in fear, like the mindset, oh, money comes only 2 weeks or whatever, it's only going to come every 2 weeks. Okay, when you keep yourself in that mindset, that's the limited mindset you keep yourself in. And so likely you won't look for opportunities or have opportunities from money coming in through other sources, right? So, and that's just the same as believing God will always have a plan for you. If you believe in him and you know that God's plan for you is to be wealthy and protected and taken care of in this world, then you believe it, and that looks different from person to person. I was thinking, like, if everybody had the money, I still think people would live in the bayous, they'd live in trailers, because truthfully, like, even if I had all the money, I would want to work jobs that I've never worked before, because I just want to experience it. I wouldn't mind living in an RV because I just want to experience it. Like, I think that's where our natural state is supposed to be, because if we were in a state of abundance, our curiosity would peak more, and innovations and technologies would be even more advanced, because we're doing things through a passion and a lens of love and accommodation, instead of like what can divide us and use us for our own dog eat dog world benefit kind of thing, right? So it's going to be a long time in the making. We can't even agree on skin color. And what's even funnier is, we have all of this technology and we still can't, like, be kind to each other because of skin color. Like, we literally use all of this technology that we have to unalive people because of religious, racial, maybe even gender differences. And imagine if we use that technology to unite our differences, right? To accommodate, to spread the love in whatever way we can figure out. And I always feel like people who were put on this planet in the Christian sense, like transgender, maybe gay people, maybe even POC people, were really put on this planet to test how much love are we capable of. And we're capable of all of love. It's just that we have to unlock that. And once we use that power and spread that, and we're loving each other and loving animals, and then at that point, it sounds crazy, but I think we'll stop eating animals collectively and then eat plants. And then once we understand even more collectively that plants are sentient as well, because people here and there believe that, but not everyone as a group, right? And then we start learning how to adapt to not eat plants, to eat better for our bodies, maybe use sunlight, whatever it might be. that's so far in the future. And that's when the energy that's coming from our planet is going to be even better, and that turns into like a powerhouse of energy for the planets around us. So when I mentioned that battery analogy from Rick and Morty earlier, that's kind of what our purpose is in my belief. But when people hear that, they'd be like, oh, what's the purpose then? And like maybe jump off a cliff. And that's not the point. The purpose is kind of hedonistic, I'm not going to lie. It's just to figure out what makes you happy. And believe it or not, that changes. A lot of people, one thing that makes them happy in one part of their life does not remain that their whole life. And that's a beautiful part of it. And I think if we just focused on what made us happy, things that we love, etc., it would push things in a better way. Because if we chose people that loved us better, if we chose things that made us better, not through trauma, not through attachment, then we'd make better decisions. And we wouldn't push on traumatic things or continue generational patterns that are not serving our families and friends and stuff. So it is very rooted, very deep, obviously, and people can come on here and call me crazy all they want, but religion in any sense, Christianity, Jewish, whatever, anything, it's so deep like that. So I really don't think it's crazy to think like this, because A, I'm not the only one. B, if Christians can do it, it's okay for anyone to do it. And I'm not really hurting anyone, I'm just spreading ideas that I think could help people, inspire them to be more authentic to themselves and do what serves them better without hurting people. If it hurts people, then you got to think from what aspect. Are you respecting their autonomy, like their free will? Or is it respecting the consent? If you're answering yes, if it's just about them respecting your boundaries, etc., maybe you hurt their feelings because you cut them off, that's going to happen, but it's through love. It's through love. And some people will be like, oh, well, I unalive someone through love, blah, 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 and I can't answer everything. I don't have the answer for everything. But what I do know is, as corny as it is, God is love, And I'm not a Bible thumper, but I do correlate back to the Bible. So that's why I want to talk about this, because I don't want people to, be like, what the hell does she even believe? I believe in all over the place kind of thing. So I do refer back to the Bible, though, because it's got a lot of truth, parables, analogies that are very helpful to convey a symbolic message that can be applied in a way that will help people be authentic and live for their happiness, because that's really, we're just here to find out what makes us happy. Some people think that would make them happy, that just to lounge in a field and eat good food all day and sleep. And there's no wrong answer. That's not wrong. Animals do it all the time. Literally, I get so much joy from just seeing my dogs eat their food and rest and be happy and live an easy life, okay? You can't doubt that thing like that just enhances my life. And they don't really inherently do anything for me, right? It's just the love that they exude and the good energy and stuff. So that's where I come to this conclusion, is really about energy, and it is really about, how much love can we offer people, and doing actions through love will always serve us right in the end, right? And it's a balance collectively that we have to find, and it's difficult because there's so many people, but that's where celebrating the differences in people, I think, is where you start, because in reality we're all human. That's our common factor. But another common factor is we will always have differences, and that's something we should really provoke to learn more about, instead of trying to force people to be the same. Really embrace knowledge and embrace the fact that someone being different is not a threat to your knowledge. Like, me having these different thoughts doesn't mean your thoughts are wrong, right? It's just a new perspective. And that's really what we're here to learn, is open our mind, expand our mind, and look at things from new perspectives to maybe grow our own perspective, Life is always about growth, and you always learn new things. The beautiful thing about it is that knowledge is endless. There's no cap to how much you can learn. You only put that on yourself, right? And even then, people who are not book smart are very, very intelligent in many other ways. So don't ever discount that. But all I can say is there is some sort of source that we can tap into that will give us unlimited, and the billionaires have done this, whether it be occultism or through manifestation. I think they do both. Um, because I think one requires you to do the inner work, which is difficult, and one you can skip, but use external sources and manipulate it because you understand energy, and it'll still work in your favor. That's just my belief. And that's true occultism that I do not believe in messing around with. I believe in divination through tarot, meditation, prayer. I even have stones, like, rocks and stuff like that I keep around the home. But there's a certain line that I don't cross. I even believe in, like, getting in touch with ancestors, whatever, because I do believe we're always connected to our family. And when I say ancestors, I mean literally, for me, just my grandma and my uncle. I don't know too much into my lineage. But I think working with those taboo topics are important to embrace and, like, enhance that love, because a lot of people carry grief with them, right? And because I've learned to deal with grief, and I'll do another video on this. There's going to be a lot of repetitive videos because, like I said, I've learned that. I guess that's a thing on YouTube, so whatever. But I'll do more in depth of, like, how I mitigate grief, because I did a little bit about it. But if you don't demonize the afterlife, you can, in my opinion, talk to family and they can guide you from the other side, and there is no more sense of grief. Do I cry and miss my grandma? Yes, but it's more in a gratitude sense, as I said before, that I'm so grateful that I met her and she taught me what she did, and I'm so grateful to be able to carry on what she taught me, and I live so through her. And because I love her so dearly, and once again, it's coming through love, and I think that's what's gonna make the world go around, and that comes from so many different people, and then we share our differences. It's much like coming to a potluck and sharing different recipes, but with ideas and stuff like that. But just like everybody can enjoy it, right? And it's not like if I come to a potluck with chips and you come with the same chips, it's not like we have to compete. It's just, oh, we brought the same chips. And then if we brought the different chips, ooh, what chips did you bring? Ooh, like, I want to try that. I want to try, or I don't really like that, but love that you brought chips. That's kind of just how I view it objectively, I guess. And I wish other people would, because it's really ironic that a lot of Christians demonize everything else and really ostracize things, and those are the people who really should be uniting people. But a lot of people who were Christian, I believe, act in the way Jesus really preached to be, loving people and appreciating their differences and not judging them and stuff like that. So I do think you find the most non-traditional looking people preaching more of the word of God than actually godly people. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. I'm gonna upload these, but I'm gonna have another video tomorrow. I hope I feel better tomorrow. I would love to be able to go to TJ Maxx and walk around, and I gotta earn rent, so some pictures are in order. But yeah, thanks for watching. As I said, I'm gonna try to have daily videos. I want to try to get into, like, a routine because I'm feeling better. So now I don't, like, usually when I wake up, if I feel sick, it's like I wake up, I do some stuff, and then go back to sleep. But because I don't feel sick, then I gotta figure out, like, what videos to do, what photo shoots to do, etc., kind of, like, fine tune my schedule. So I hope to have daily YouTube videos that are just kind of like off the spur ideas. Once again, feel free to share your kind of thoughts and opinions on what your beliefs are. I'm happy to learn, especially if you're going to be on my channel commenting a lot. I enjoy doing this, so I do it because it's fun. So I like to see what you guys have to say. So yeah, I appreciate y'all. Much love to you. I hope you guys know that you're valued no matter what. Even if you are in a circle of people who don't value you, just know that in the ironic, paradoxical sense, it's meant to help you find the people that are for you. If you live authentically, if you understand that those people are not meant for you, if you live authentically, you'll find the people meant for you. And I know that because I lived that. It's so true, and it's such a beautiful thing. But thanks for listening. I'll pop in tomorrow with another video. I don't know if it'll be a car vlog. I don't know what it'll be. But I do know this coming Friday will be my first day back on streaming on TikTok and Twitch. So feel free to check out my link tree if you want to follow me on Twitch. And I don't think I have my new TikTok account, but I'll be on my TikTok shop one. But if you want to sub to my Patreon and stuff, feel free. Thank you guys for the donations and subs. It helps me pay my rent. That's my last birthday gift to myself, is just paying my rent. So thanks for y'all helping out with that. I love you guys. Anyway, take care of yourself. Hydrate, eat. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Thanks again for watching my videos and listening to my crazy shenanigans. It's gonna rain. I feel like I should go for a drive. I drove a lot today though. Anyway, you guys have a good night. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you guys tomorrow, bright and early on Monday morning. Okay, toodaloo.